Well, hello YouTube, it's Dr. Drake 63 here today. What you see before you are three disassembled 9mm pistols. Starting from left to right, you're looking at the Glock 43. Next we have the Glock 19 Generation 5, which is kind of sort of the topic of today's discussion. And to the right of that, about a 15-year-old CZ75B, and that's an all-metal gun, so I'm not here to compare these in terms of shootability, concealability. What I am here to do today is talk about wear and finish on these three pistols in particular, and keeping in mind that the two on the left are relatively new and incorporate supposedly new technologies. And then we've got an all-metal gun that, like I said, is using some older technologies, and we'll kind of take a look at what the wear is. What's driving this, you might ask? Well, real simple. A lot of commentary, both going around on social media right now, as well as commentary going around some YouTube, I'm starting to see, talking about the finish of the Generation 5 Glock 19. Which you see right here, okay? And, you know, truth in advertising, I have not polished this up. But at least as far as the barrel itself goes, so far, and we're only talking about 500-600 rounds at this point. So this is kind of keeping track from point forward. But so far, what I have noticed as far as wear are two places. One is right here on the bottom of the slide. Okay, you're not going to see that when the gun's assembled. And then there's a lot of talk about wear on this barrel. So let's get that guy out and look at it. Basically, what seems to be the biggest issue right now are these little smile patterns on here, which I think a lot of Glock guys aren't used to seeing till later on. So in other words, here we go. We've got some wear right away. Okay, what you see on the bottom is the Glock 19 Generation 5 barrel. And again, I mentioned this has roughly 500 or 600 rounds through it. And this is wear that some people are complaining about. You see a smile mark on both sides of the barrel, and you can see where that wear is. Now, the comment I've heard from folks who've been in the Glock game for a long time basically hasn't been that these things happen, that they happen so early in the life of a barrel. Now here's a similar round count, Glock 43. And you really don't see anything. There's a little bit of a line. I don't know if it comes across here or not. There's a little bit of a smile pattern just starting about a 1/4 inch from the end. But really, compared to this, no. Now, I want to make sure that we're looking at things and getting them straight here, okay? We're talking about the finish on a barrel, which is also a new barrel for Glock. It's supposedly very, very accurate compared to the other generation barrels. So does that mean they jobbed this out? Does that mean that they had this finish somewhere else? In other words, is this the same finish that you're going to find on this slide? And that's a good question. If somebody happens to know the answer to that, we'd love to get enlightened. Okay. So again, just kind of looking at it, the slide looks fine. Wear marks on the bottom of the slide. And looking at the inside, to me, this is all normal wear, guys. On any pistol I've ever owned. Now, got to be honest with you, though, when it comes to Glocks, this is Glock number 3. My first one was the 20, believe it or not. And I liked it okay. It just wasn't a practical gun for what I was going to do and very expensive to shoot. I'm not a reloader. So Glock number 2 was this 43, and what I really wanted was the 19. But I also wanted a true conceal 9mm. If you look at this slide, you'll see pretty similar amount of wear where there's contact parts. So I don't really get concerned about that. I'm kind of partially convinced right now that whoever makes this new barrel for Glock, I mean, I'm sure it's Glock themselves, but wherever they're getting it finished or whatever batch they did or whatever is different than the past, or the way that this seats into the slide and moves in and out might be what's different. In other words, you might have a different amount of play in the lockup on this particular firearm versus the amount of play that you have in the 43. Okay. Now, again, I don't know, but the fact that it's this real consistent in these two spots just tells me that something's going on that's different, and it's consistent, and I'm not really worried about it. But I know there's a lot of guys that are. And, you know, they want a certain finish and they want it to look a certain way, and I get that. But that doesn't bother me. I guess I'll tell you why. Let's cheat on over here to the land of the CZ, which, first of all, you notice compared to these other guys where you have slide, barrel was inside when I started out, you have your grip and everything, and then you've got your spring. Well, here's our extra part that we get. So thank you, Glock. Thank you, Glock, for making it about slide, frame, spring, barrel, and one less part. Anyway, getting back to this, if we're going to take a look at the slide on this CZ, and we're going to take a look at wear, and we're going to take a look at number of rounds and so forth. I picked this CZ up used. So I don't know the real round count. I know that I probably have not put 2,000 rounds through it. Okay. And you can see right here with the barrel, you have those same kind of consistent smile marks. A lot of this finish is wore off. And as a lot of you guys know, people actually go out and get these polished so that they don't have any paint on them at all. So go figure, it's a heck of a world we live in. But you can see, I mean, this has a significant amount of wear. But you know what's important about this? It continues to function. There's not a dot of rust on it. You know why? Because I keep my stuff lubed. This is what I use. This is what I use, and I don't want to get off on a side note here. I don't work for these guys, but I want to tell you something. I live in Minnesota, which means that I shoot semi-automatic pistols and rifles in all sorts of weather, and have shot the same rifles as low as 20 below outside. Come back and turn around and shot the same rifles, and it was 95 and humid as heck, and this stuff holds up and it doesn't break down. So, you know, end of story for that. Moving right along, if you look at the slide, and I'm going to adjust this light again so that we get a little bit better true view. If you look at this slide here, you see all sorts of wear. Where parts come together into contact with parts. Okay, so I guess you can kind of see where I'm coming from when I look at these things. First thing most Glock guys are going to notice about my Glocks is that I don't mod them. I really don't. And that's because of my philosophy of use. I do enjoy target shooting. However, these are self-defense tools for me. So I do not need improved sights. The trigger on both the new 43 and this Generation 5 19 is awesome for me. I love it. And about the only thing I've done in terms of modification on the 43, I did put this Talo base plate on it. It's a +1, so this turns into a total of 7 + 1 or 8 rounds. And quite packs a nice little punch for a true concealed carry. And we'll get into what I think about that means in some other dialogue. About the only modification I've made here is you see where that little bevel is, and actually it's a huge bevel on the grip. Not everybody likes that. I know that, you know, it's something that you need to help dry out magazines and all that kind of stuff. It's not a plus one. It's not anything other than this. So you do get some leverage. You can still grab it from the bottom, and anytime I've ever wanted to just drop the magazine, it drops. That's part of why the flared mag wall is kind of a cool deal on this gun. Anyway, so why am I telling you all this? My standards of not changing anything and using stock Glock and as a carry weapon. Well, real simple, because that's what I'm using it for. Okay, and I'm used to getting wear on guns. I'm used to getting dings on them and things of that nature. So it's real important to understand that that's where I'm coming from. And I'm not digging on guys that, you know, they like their Glocks to be great carry pieces, but they also want to invest a lot in triggers and stipling and other things that I'm not going to do. Well, I don't look down on that. I just don't spend my money on those things. But anyway, looking at these right now, you're seeing some negative press on the 19, the Gen 5. And I guess all I can say is I'm open-minded about it. I mean, I'll keep my eye on wear, but it's the kind of thing that if it never came up, I'd never notice it, because I'm used to shooting guns like this more and not shooting guns like the Glocks as much. But, you know, why did I get into Glocks? Why am I shooting Glocks now? Real simple. They are simple. They have the slimmest profiles, and you know, I waited for this 5 because I just wanted to see the next model without the finger grooves. And I heard the trigger was going to be sweet, and it is. But right now, let's just keep our eye on it. But I'm not worried about this. This is a cosmetic issue on a carry gun that's going to get holster marks, that's going to get wear marks on the barrel and all sorts of things. So that's not a real problem for me. But I know it is for some guys, and I don't want to show disrespect. But what I am going to do to finish off this video is I'm going to read some of the comments I saw on my favorite Glock Facebook page, because I found some of them really interesting. So the question of the day is, what is with the Gen 5 hate in here? Everybody talks about the finish wear on the barrel. So what? It doesn't affect performance. Well, here's some of the comments. First one, I love my 19. I've only put 25 rounds through it, so bink, done listening. Next comment. It's about a new gun, a new price, and a used finish. That's kind of funny, actually. Somebody responded, plus, who is looking at the barrel when shooting? It's not outside wear. Here's one of my favorites. I am offering a buyback to all the dissatisfied people. I will give you 2 fitting. Gotta like that one. The real question is why everybody bashes the Gen 2s. With the upgraded fire control group, my Gen 2 is just as good as your Gen 3, 4, or 5. If it sounds like I'm having a little bit of fun with this, I am. But I don't want to have too much fun, because I know that there's a lot of emotions that people tie in between their firearms and their personalities or their mission in life or their self-defense philosophy. I get all that. So we will keep our eye on this. If we're going to see significant slide wear, it's going to show up. I use a Kydex holster, and typically this is going to be in and out of that quite a bit. I haven't seen anything like that, but basically the only wear I have seen that I guess, again, is unusual for Glocks is some barrel wear that I'm not even convinced is related to the finish. It might be related to fitment and function. Anyway, what you can count on me to do is give you an honest answer either way. I'm going to be the first guy hooting and hollering and making a big deal if this gun fails to perform in any way, because I'm not paid by any of these people. I don't get ammo sent to me to test out guns. I don't have guns sent to me to test out. My resources are pretty limited. So all I've got is my reputation of being an honest guy you guys can tune in and see. That's what I'm going to strive to remain to be. And I'm very open to your comments about any comments that I made. If you don't agree with them, all I ask is please articulate your position before you call me an asshole. Again, it's Dr. Drake 63, and thanks for tuning in. Have a great day, and remember, support the NRA.